All right, yeah. Welcome to the show. It is Wrestling Uncensored. I'm Dave Simon. He's Johnny North. WrestlingUncensored.net is the website. Go there, watch the show, listen to the show, download past episodes, watch Ringside Report, the MMA show, WrestlingUncensored.net, RingsideReport.net. Go to our official website. Subscribe to the YouTube channel right now. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like the video. You can go to our channel at youtube.com/ringsidereport.net, youtube.com/ringsidereport, DOTNET. We cover professional wrestling. We cover mixed martial arts. And my goodness, what a week in professional wrestling. What a show we have for you here on Wrestling Uncensored, a brand new version of Wrestling Uncensored where we have a brand new weekly wrestling promotion to cover and watch, a mainstream deal struck by All Elite Wrestling last week to bring, or I guess this week, right? Earlier this week, just Tuesday, to bring AEW TV, AEW Dynamite every Wednesday night live, 8 p.m. to TSN here in Canada, which is a big deal. TNT across the United States and on different channels around the world. They got a channel, I think it's ITV out in the UK. I know that it's Fight TV, a subscription service in other markets, but to get it 8 p.m. live on TSN in Canada was a major deal. And because this show is based in Canada, and because AEW is such a big promotion and such big news in pro wrestling, we're going to start covering AEW in a major way here going forward on Wrestling Uncensored. It seems like the thing to do. If this were the Monday Night Wars, if this were WCW and WWE, we'd be covering both, right? And this is where we're at. It's a new day. Yes, it is. In pro wrestling, to steal a phrase from the WWE champion.
It did feel like kind of going back to 2001, where you had Tony Schiavone welcoming you to AEW Dynamite. And he even said it himself, like, we haven't been on the air, though AEW wasn't on the air, but like himself, he hasn't been on the air since 2001.
Yeah, and pro wrestling hadn't been on TNT since 2001, since WCW shut down.
I had goosebumps, like, because I remember that, watching that as a kid, and just like, wow, like, you know, like, it's been so long. It's crazy. It's been almost 2 decades.
And also, it's kind of the same deal here in Canada, where pro wrestling hasn't been on TSN in a very long time, since Raw left to go on to The Score way back in the day, right? It's been at least 10 years.
It's amazing it's taken so long, but I'm glad that they were able to finally do it, and not only do it, but do it well.
So we will get to AEW Dynamite. We will also get to Hell in a Cell. We'll also get to Monday Night Raw, everything that happened there, and WWE NXT. They have a really big match that I'm looking forward to next week that we'll preview as well here. If you're looking for SmackDown, the blue brand, the Smackin It side of things, well, you can watch a new show on the YouTube channel, Smackin It with Dave, Friday nights after SmackDown. That'll be the SmackDown exclusive show where we cover everything that happens on Fox on a Friday night. So if you're looking for that, go there, right here on Wrestling Uncensored. We just don't have the room. And also because of our recording schedule, you know, this is what's happened so far, and we'll get to Smackin It on a different show. We'll get to SmackDown separately on a different show here on the Ringside Report Network, the ever-expanding Ringside Report Network. You got Dave and Johnny live every Friday afternoon. You've got Wrestling Uncensored. You've got Ringside Report every Thursday night, live at 8 p.m. on the YouTube channel with Fred Garcia and AJ DeLessio. It's a big network, and coming up next week, we'll have a new episode of What's Phantom in Japan, where we will preview New Japan's King of Pro Wrestling card that goes down next weekend. So the wrestling really doesn't stop. If it's not here in the United States or in Canada, it's in Japan or in England or in China or Russia. Who knows? Mexico.
Plus, there's Hell in a Cell this Sunday.
Yeah, in Sacramento.
It just never stops. There's just so much wrestling. I mean, we're covering like 7 hours of wrestling just on this show alone, and yet there's so much more not even covered. It's crazy.
It was fun, though, right? I enjoyed this week, John. I think as a whole, pro wrestling has been a lot of fun. There's a new buzz around pro wrestling, and most of it, I think, has to be around AEW, and we have AEW to thank for this breath of fresh air in the wrestling business.
Well, the opening match, I think, really set the tone for the whole night, in my opinion. I mean, it was a very solid match and really got the crowd going.
Cody Rhodes and Sammy Guevara opening up the show. I think it was a cool move to have the first wrestler coming out on AEW TV to be Cody Rhodes, or Cody, as they're calling him, whatever.
Right.
The son of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. There's so much history there with WCW, with TNT Wrestling, with this company that he and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are in charge of, financially backed by Tony Khan and the Khan family, like Cody, Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, Kenny Omega. They are all executive vice presidents of this thing. This is their baby. This is their promotion. And Cody seems to be kind of the leader of the group as far as the business goes. Maybe it's because he's always wearing a suit, but he comes off as the main. He comes off as like the Triple H of AEW.
Also, he destroyed the throne, so I guess.
And he's got Brandy, who's also in charge. She's like the Stephanie, you know what I mean?
Right.
He destroyed the throne with the sledgehammer. He's kind of positioned himself as the Triple H, the main guy in AEW, even though kind of Kenny is the talent and the Bucks are also, it's a cool group, and you could see where there could be some friction down the road. You could see where they could do a lot story-wise with Cody, the Bucks, and Kenny. I mean, Kenny and Cody have a history where they didn't like each other. They had a big match. They had a major feud over Kota Ibushi, if you remember, So there is that history. They've made up since then, and right now they're on the same side, but you never know what'll happen in the future of AEW, and all these things are progressing nicely so far. They've had a few pay-per-views. They've had their first TV, and they've started some storylines, and I like where they're going. I'm interested in what they're doing. Cody Rhodes' entrance was magic, though. Like, that was something, right?
But normal, not like he didn't do anything crazy. He didn't do like a Triple H kind of entrance.
Well, he came up through the floor,
right? But
with Brandy,
but it wasn't like
who had some kind of outfit on, looking like a superhero, But
he didn't bring his dog this time.
No,
he didn't bring
dog.
his whole team with him.
That's right.
There wasn't any like huge like destruction of anything this time around.
Yeah.
There was no like movie theme kind of Triple H ripoff kind of thing.
You don't need to do that every time, though. I think that was a time and a place type of thing. Like, he needed to do that at that moment. This is a different time.
Well, I think it's pay-per-view thing too, I think.
Yeah, but this is more of a celebration. Like, you could tell the look on his face. The crowd was so hot.
Yep.
Just on fire, cheering so hard for Cody Rhodes, chanting his name. And you could tell that Cody was feeling it. I mean, imagine what it must feel like for Cody to have built all this, and this is your first TV show, and everything is working. Everything's clicking. You're on TV across North America. You got a big TV deal everywhere. This is your first show. You're opening it up. The crowd's going nuts. It's a sold-out building.
You have JR on commentary.
Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone on commentary, which this is the first time that they paired Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone. I thought they were great together.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Excalibur's good too.
And
with
Excalibur kind of worked as like the Mike Tenay of the trio. You know?
Yeah, he's perfect with that because he's wrestled these guys.
He knows a little bit more about each performer than JR and Tony Schiavone. So when they need him, they can kind of refer to him and say, hey, Excalibur, tell me more about this. Tell me more about that. But JR and Schiavone kind of lead the show, and it's a conversation between those two with Excalibur kind of thrown in here and there. I thought the commentary worked perfectly. I think already they're the best commentary team in pro wrestling. They killed, Vic Joseph and Dio Madden, on their first night, no problem.
That wasn't hard, actually, but okay. Yeah.
And I'll listen to Jim Ross over Mauro Ranallo any day as well. So
yeah,
I enjoyed the commentary team on AEW. I thought the Cody Rhodes Sammy Guevara match was really good. There were some shaky moments, though. You could tell Sammy Guevara maybe a little bit nervous, right? A couple moves where he didn't land it perfectly kind of early on, but he seemed to settle in, and the match, it turned out all right. Like, I don't know. Sammy looked a little nervous at the beginning. Like, it was a big moment, and there was a time when they did like a kind of quick kind of back and forth thing, and Sammy did like a flip, and he kind of stumbled on it, and you're like, oh, is everything going to be okay? But he came together, and the match turned out great.
Well, I think the best moment was when Cody went for the dive and like ended up hitting his wife instead.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That was a great way to start the show with doing something like that.
Shocking, right? And I like that Brandy, she went down, she was hurt, but she got back up and she stayed around.
Right, she didn't have to be taken away.
No, she wasn't like unconscious and needed to be removed from ringside. It was just like, oh, she got hit. Okay, well, she's also a wrestler and she recovered and now she's back up. It's like, okay, cool. It was like a, oh my goodness moment, but I liked how they handled it. It was different than the WWE would have handled a similar incident, right? I think they would have made a bigger deal out of it too. But it was just like, oh, Sammy's a heel. He did this. It happened. Cody accidentally bumped into her. She went down, but she got back up. Everything's okay, and we move right along.
Well, WWE would hype it as an accident, where AEW, they're like, well, Sammy did this on purpose. He clearly did it on purpose. And yeah, they didn't insult our intelligence like WWE would do that.
I didn't feel like my intelligence was being insulted at all during the 2-hour broadcast of AEW Dynamite, which is a nice change from pro wrestling.
Well, I like that Brandy came back and actually helped Cody win the match, too, if you remember. Like, I think she held the leg of Sammy in the end.
Did she?
She did something where she distracted or something, and it led to Cody doing the kick at the end.
Right. Well, he landed an inside cradle. That's how he beat him.
Yeah, that's what he beat him, but he got like a near fall. It helped led to eventually him winning.
Right. I thought the match was good. You know?
Very good. Opening match, fantastic.
Really good opening match. And it went up against, on NXT, the Adam Cole-Matt Riddle match.
Crazy. I see this on Twitter because I can't watch NXT live.
That's right. We can't watch NXT live here in Canada. We have to wait until Thursday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern to watch NXT in Canada on the WWE Network because, of course, we don't have the USA Network on most cable providers here in Canada, and the USA Network has the rights to NXT live. I like the past few weeks where they're at least giving us the second hour of NXT live on WWE Network. I guess that's over with.
Yep.
Instead, on the WWE Network, they air a watch-along for a show we can't watch.
That's kind of frustrating.
You think? How annoying is it to tune in to NXT on a Wednesday night at 8 p.m. and you watch a bunch of people, half of them you don't even know. All these jabronis they have on the WWE Network, they're not even wrestlers. I don't know who they are, right? They're sitting there, and they're watching NXT, and you're like, oh, where can I watch NXT? Oh, nowhere, because you're Canadian. Wait. Thanks, WWE. Where's Carl DeMarco when you need him?
Oh, he's long gone, but you can watch it Thursday nights, or you can watch it Friday. Oh, best 1 hour special.
Yeah, a 1 hour best of NXT Fridays on like a Sportsnet channel or something, right? But the WWE Network has the full version, but only Thursday nights at 10 p.m. Very disappointing, and it really gives Wednesday nights to AEW all by themselves. And I think most Canadian wrestling fans not really searching hard to find NXT on a Wednesday night. They just give up, watch TSN, very easy, and you can watch All Elite Wrestling, which, you know, I watched NXT this week. I watched AEW. I watched Raw. AEW Dynamite was the best show I saw.
Raw was very good, but AEW, because it was such a new experience. Hey, Raw had Hogan and the Flair. That's fantastic. I love that stuff.
We'll get to Raw. We'll get to Raw and what happened on Raw. I want to stick with AEW, though, right now. MJF had a little promo, comes down to the ring, has a match with Brandon Cutler. Not a long match, you know?
Very short.
But I think it did what it needed to do.
Well, it's just to put over MJF that, you know, he's a jerk.
What did you think of Brandon Cutler falling off the top rope?
I think it was...
Was that part of the match?
I think he was supposed to fall, but not like that, and then sell the injury kind of thing that he did. I think he was supposed to fall, but it was supposed to be because, like, MJF rolls out of the way. Oh, ref, I'm hurt.
Okay.
But then he fell, and it's like, oh, crap. So that's why he sold the injury. But why sell the injury when that wasn't even for the finish? Because I think he beat him with, like, a armbar, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I think that was a mistake, the falling, and then the cover was to sell the injury. But I think that was all supposed to happen, like MJF roll away, whatever, and then distract and then win.
I like MJF.
He's all right, but again, this match, it wasn't much of anything.
No.
It was a big drop from the first match, that's for sure.
But, you know, he's one of these guys that grabs your attention if you're just watching AEW for the first time and you're familiar with some of the guys already, and you're looking to see who are the new guys, who are these new guys that AEW has, and you see MJF. he grabs the attention. He's got a really good promo. He's got a very easy to understand gimmick. He's a snotty, rich kid who thinks he's better than everybody else, and he's not afraid to say it. And he wins a lot of his matches. People were saying that he reminds them of The Miz.
100%.
But I think he's like he's a snottier version, right? Like he's way more annoying and hateable, and I think he cuts a better promo already, right? I don't know. A lot of people like the Miz's promos, but for me, I find MJF more entertaining than the Miz these days. I didn't think the Miz was particularly captivating on Raw.
I find he's better than when the Miz first started. When the Miz first started, he was really bad. Now he's somewhat passable. But this is years and years of him wrestling.
Yeah, passable, but I'm saying MJF is good.
Well, that's it. MJF is better than the Miz because, like, when Miz first started, he just wasn't good, period. Where MJF, it's like, well, I think he's at, like, Miz level right now.
It's amazing to me still that he's 23.
Well, that's it. He's the future of AEW. He's going to be there for a very long time, so he may not become the champion right away, but he'll definitely be in the conversation for years to come.
He'll be the champion one day.
He'll be champion of something. I mean, he'll probably be multiple champion of a lot of things.
Yeah. MJF, he's an interesting character. He beats Brandon Cutler. I don't know what they do with him next. It's funny, too, because he's Cody's best friend, right?
It's weird because he's a heel.
But he's like one of the top heels in the company.
And Cody's a huge face.
Cody's one of the top baby faces in the company. Who's the top baby face in AEW? Is it Kenny Omega or is it Cody Rhodes?
I think it's give or take between the two. I mean, I think right now it's Cody because he's positioned for the title match.
Yeah.
But it could easily be Kenny.
If he was in a different position.
Right.
But Cody right now, he seems to be the main guy, the top face, the top guy in AEW. And it's strange that one of the top heels is his like best friend. But I do like that, you know, the dynamic because it's unusual, but it's also understandable and it makes sense. Like it's not illogical if you follow, you know, being the elite and you follow MJF. Like, you know, Cody found this guy on the indies and brought him into AEW, and he's a younger guy and he's grooming him to become a great pro wrestler, and MJF sucks up to Cody because he's the boss, so he says he's his best friend and he loves Cody, and now it's actually turned into a real relationship where MJF sees Cody as a mentor and Cody really likes MJF because he sees him as a talented young wrestler. Like, all of that makes sense, you know?
Right.
Cody just happens to be the EVP and top babyface in AEW, and MJF just happens to be a guy that, you know, the crowd doesn't like because he rubs them the wrong way, but they're still friends, and you could still see alliances between Cody and MJF down the road, even though there was a pay-per-view, I think it was the Fight for the Fallen pay-per-view, where, you know, Cody had this match coming up with Shawn Spears, but MJF was on a tag team with Shawn Spears, so they were on the same side there, but MJF like didn't like it. You know, there was a lot of arguments and dissension between those two guys on the team at that show. So I like the dynamic there with MJF, and it adds another wrinkle to his character, and it changes, you know, the story down the road with Cody and what they can do with him, be it on a heel or babyface side. Like if Cody wants to turn evil, he could go fully with MJF and turn his back on the Young Bucks, like have a tag team feud. There are many different options that you could do with Cody and MJF and their characters right now. I think it's cool, man. I like MJF, and there are many different things that you could do with him down the road. Like, you know, MJF, he's a heel, but he tweeted that Chris Jericho won't get away with what he did to his friend Cody at the end of the show.
Right. Well,
so you could do MJF versus Chris Jericho next week on Dynamite. You know what I mean? Like, that could be a match where Jericho kind of wrestles MJF, and they might both be heels, but you understand that MJF's kind of representing Cody in this instance.
Well, I don't think they'll go that way because it seems like they're slowly building up MJF. They could eventually.
MJF doesn't lose much if he loses to Chris Jericho at this point.
No, but I just see them still feeding him guys at this point until we get to an opponent for him, because the pay-per-view is going to be coming up pretty soon when you think about it. November 9th. We're going to be almost a month away soon.
Yeah. So they have to build some matches, and you think MJF's going to have a big one on it?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm looking forward to that pay-per-view Full Gear. AEW saying that they're not looking to do monthly pay-per-views, though. They're looking at doing them maybe just quarterly, at least to start, which is, interesting. They're going to have other special events, like the Fight for the Fallen and the Fyter Fest. Those were streaming on, Bleacher Report. I think they were free, weren't they?
Yes.
They were free events, streaming events, so they might do more of those kind of streaming specials on BR Live, but I don't know as far as pay-per-view. It seems like, as according to the president there, Tony Khan, that they're going to do about 4 pay-per-views a year for now, which I think is good. It makes them mean way more, and you build for these huge matches that you look forward to for months. The anticipation for these matches will be way bigger if you do only 4 pay-per-views a year.
Well, plus it also makes the TV special because they don't have a pay-per-view, so you're going to have big matches on television instead.
Yeah. So you can make your TV even better. And it doesn't seem like they're doing live events, right? They have no scheduled events other than one show a week on TV. So you can save yourself for TV as well. Like, the schedule isn't as rigorous, right, as, say, WWE would be.
I just wonder for the wrestlers all getting paid, though. I mean, that's going to be kind of rough. I mean, if you got to kind of work indie dates then, no?
Some of the wrestlers have other jobs.
Right. Well, they have to.
Some of the wrestlers are working indie dates. Some of the wrestlers are doing New Japan, like Jon Moxley.
And then you put yourself at risk, like Moxley did, where you could get hurt and miss AEW shows.
And Moxley's going back to New Japan next week.
Wow. And he only showed up on the AEW Dynamite premiere episode. He did not wrestle.
That's right.
So that's crazy.
And Kenny Omega cut that big promo about Jon Moxley saying, you went out there, you did the G1, you weren't professional.
Didn't win.
You didn't win the G1. Kenny won it his first time. Jon Moxley, he went out there, and he wasn't a professional because he wasn't prepared for his match that he was supposed to have at All Out.
Right, against Kenny. He didn't wrestle him.
He's supposed to wrestle him, didn't wrestle him, and now he's supposed to wrestle Kenny again on November 9th at Full Gear, right?
Right.
But before that, on October the 14th in Tokyo, it will be Jon Moxley, the IWGP US champion, defending in a no disqualification match against Juice Robinson. This is a guy who has not wrestled, who was supposed to wrestle Kenny, at the end of August, didn't wrestle Kenny because he was injured. He had that elbow infection. Now he is going to wrestle again in Japan, and then he's supposed to wrestle a couple weeks later against Kenny for AEW.
Wrestling's not easy. It's rough. It's hard.
No guarantees that Jon Moxley will be at Full Gear. He wasn't at All Out. I wouldn't guarantee that he'll be at Full Gear. I hope Kenny cuts a promo about that. Like, what are you doing wrestling Juice Robinson at King of Pro Wrestling in New Japan, Moxley? Shouldn't you be taking me seriously? Shouldn't you be preparing for Kenny Omega?
Given what he did on this week's edition of AEW, he just keeps trying to push the envelope. I imagine he's going to keep doing that until we get to the pay-per-view. So leading up to that, week in, week out, it's going to be kind of rough. Isn't he wrestling too before then, also on AEW?
Moxley, I think so. I think he's scheduled at some point.
I'd be worried for this match. Very worried for this match if it actually happens at the pay-per-view.
Kenny Omega looks so good on TV.
He didn't do much, though. I mean, that's
man, as a Kenny Omega fan, as a guy that's been watching Kenny Omega for years, it's so amazing that this guy has a weekly television show. He has this platform where he can be Kenny Omega to the fullest extent of the law. I'm just so excited to see the world wake up to Kenny Omega in AEW. Like, this guy deserves the platform that he's getting, and I'm so excited to see him get it. Just seeing Kenny Omega now every single week on your TV, it's incredible. He's the best in the world, and you're going to get to see it. He didn't do that much this week, and it was a weird deal, right? It was Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks against Chris Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz, formerly LAX. Now they're just Santana and Ortiz.
Correct.
So it's a 6-man tag. They start wrestling. They have a little match.
2 minutes.
Couple of minutes. Jon Moxley shows up, which you expected. He was supposed to be there. He starts attacking Kenny Omega, and they brawl, to the back, and you follow the brawl. And Moxley eventually puts Kenny Omega through like a glass coffee table with his big DDT, Dirty Deeds finish.
It's a better finish.
What's it called now? The Paradigm Shift? The Moxley Effect? Death Rider? What? I don't know what he calls it. The Death Rider, maybe he calls it? I don't know. It's still the Super Dirty Deeds is what I'm calling it for now until I can figure out what the new Jon Moxley's gimmicks are, right? So, Dean Ambrose shows up and he hits big Dirty Deeds on Kenny Omega through the glass table, but there's no bell. Like, Kenny Omega gets attacked by a guy who's not in the match, gets put through a glass table, and there's no disqualification. Instead, the match just continues with the Young Bucks now by themselves, without Kenny, taking on Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz. And, of course, the 3-on-2 ends with Jericho getting the win for his team. He hit the Judas Effect elbow on Matt Jackson. That was another awesome thing, just seeing Chris Jericho coming out there, playing his Fozzy song, that entrance. I loved it. I love the whole presentation of the current Chris Jericho. I love the Judas Effect. I loved him in this match. I love him as the world champion. I love him as the top heel in the company. A little bit of the bubbly pouring all night long. The Ayatollah of rock and roll standing tall at the end of the show. I love seeing Jericho on top. I enjoyed that. I'm a big Chris Jericho fan. So that was great seeing Jericho get the win. And then after the match, just a full melee, right? LAX and Jericho. I'm calling them LAX because I'm not saying Santana and Ortiz every time. Just takes too long. So LAX and Jericho beat down the Bucks. Cody shows up. He makes a save for them. But then Sammy Guevara shows up and he kicks Cody low. And then Dustin Rhodes makes his first appearance on the show. He's fully dressed in full gear, which I'm confused about. Like, why is he ready to wrestle?
Why not?
Why does he have face paint on? I don't know. I thought it would have made more sense if he came out in, like, jeans and a cut-off denim shirt or something, and a baseball hat, looking like Dusty Rhodes or something.
No, always ready to go. I like that.
All right, so he comes up looking like half a Kane, right?
Half a Goldust, I think, but okay.
Well, like a Kane version of Goldust. Why is he red and black?
Well, he was red at the pay-per-view, too, no?
I know, but I'm saying he looks like half a Kane. Anyways, Goldust Kane shows up, but he gets attacked by Jack Swagger, who they're not calling Jack Swagger, even though his Twitter handle is still @RealJackSwagger, which I like.
Oh, he's got to change that. Wow, I'm surprised he didn't change that yet.
I don't know why he hasn't changed that. Like, it's weird. But his name is Jake Hager. That's his real name. He's a Bellator fighter now. He's fighting MMA. He's got a couple wins. He's done well for himself. I think he's got a real future in mixed martial arts. I think he's really an impressive athlete, always has been. And he's now in AEW. I don't think he moves the needle. I don't think people see him and they say, oh my God, I can't believe they have Jack Swagger.
I think JR loves him a lot.
Oklahoma.
Of course.
University of Oklahoma, right?
JR's going to push for him to be champion one day.
And he's a big hoss. He's a good athlete, two-time Division I All-American wrestler. He's legit. He's an MMA fighter. He's a real tough, bad man, Jack Swagger. And I've always been a fan. But, he didn't light the world on fire in the WWE. And I don't know if he's going to be the guy where pro wrestling fans say, oh, he's a game changer, Jack Swagger. I think he's going to do well in AEW, and you'll probably see the best version of Jake Hager you've ever seen in AEW. But, as far as being a mainstream pro wrestling star, he's not like The Rock or somebody that's going to show up and make people freak out, right? Like,
right.
I think, we were all watching it and saying, oh, cool, Jack Swagger's there. But nobody was like, oh my God, it's Jack Swagger. Like, nobody freaked out and went all crazy over Jack Swagger. A couple people said, we the people, and, A couple people were upset because they don't like Jack Swagger's politics. A couple people were like, who's that guy? And, we moved on. It was cool. It was fine. But for me, what I liked more about that segment was that it seemed like Jericho had a big old faction. You have Chris Jericho there with Jack Swagger, with the LAX, with Sammy Guevara, and they're all standing tall. They've taken out the Young Bucks. They've taken out Cody and his brother, and they're just standing there, and they're ruling AEW, and Chris Jericho's the world champion. Ciampa reigns supreme. I like that. And if this is a faction, I like it. And I think it makes a lot of sense. If you're Chris Jericho, why wouldn't you align yourself with a group of guys? You're coming up to Full Gear. It's your first ever title defense of this championship against a guy who's in charge of the company, who has this giant faction already built in, who, by the way, most of the members of the faction are also in charge of the company. So you're the world champion. You've got the deck stacked against you. You've got the Young Bucks, Cody, and Kenny Omega. They're all in the Elite. They're executive vice presidents. If you're doing a storyline here, it makes perfect sense for Chris Jericho to align himself with a group of heels to combat the Elite, right?
Well, of course it makes sense. Just will it play out that way? Because you're not 100% sure this is what's going to happen. We believe it might happen this way, but it might just be that they were just all together at this certain point in time, and they won't actually be together as a group.
Right.
Do you need that, though? Do you need a huge faction right away? I don't know if you need it.
Well, wouldn't it make sense for somebody to go up against the Elite? I mean, we know that there's this huge faction already in AEW, right? You've got Cody, the Bucks, Kenny, Hangman. Am I missing anybody? MJF is kind of with them too, right?
Kind of, sort of.
SCU kind of hangs around with them too. A lot of these guys are all together. It would make sense for Jericho to want to make his own group. It would make sense, right? It would also be cool if Jericho made his own group to combat the Elite. If he could bring one of the guys over. Like Hangman Page, he keeps losing matches, gets frustrated. Maybe he decides to turn on the Elite. People would be mad if he did that, right?
Well, Hangman did lose to Pac this week. In my opinion, the best match on AEW this week.
I thought it was a match of the week for sure. Pac and Hangman Page. Pac beating Hangman with his brutalizer submission. And the red arrow that he did on Hangman, right?
Black arrow now.
Was it it's the black arrow now?
Yeah.
It was the red arrow in WWE. So it's the black arrow. It's the same move. He does that twisty thing off the top rope. Hangman took it belly down on the mat, right? And he was kind of on his knees, and then he took it and he went boom, big bump down on his belly. Pac coming in with all his weight, boom, right before applying his submission move. That was awesome. Great finish. That black arrow, whatever you're going to call it, fantastic. The bastard Pac, great gimmick. I love this guy. He's like a Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero type. He's a real throwback to that era of he's not a huge guy, but you believe him beating anybody in the world. You don't see him as a small man. He's jacked. He can move. He looks scary and intimidating and tough. He's very believable as a smaller guy in wrestling beating everybody. And AEW is going to let him fly. This is a guy who's been awesome for years and been a guy who could be a main event talent for years. WWE stuck him in 205 Live. He didn't like that. He quit. And now AEW's got him on a big platform here. I'm excited to see what they do with Pac. This guy is the real deal.
Now, you tweeted during the show that Pac didn't like the ropes. Why did you tweet that?
Well, because he went to do a springboard and he didn't get that much air on it. He kind of landed
right
bad on Hangman.
Yeah.
And then he looked at the ropes and kind of hit them. He looked frustrated with the ropes. So maybe he's not used to those types of ropes. I don't know, but he looked mad at the ropes. That's all I was saying. Maybe he didn't like the ropes. Because I know in WWE they have a certain kind of rope, right? It's real rope.
Yeah.
But I think in AEW it might be steel cable wrapped around with rubber.
I think so.
So maybe he doesn't like that? I don't know. Or maybe he wasn't expecting that, or maybe it didn't have the same bounce. Maybe they were too tight. You know what I mean? There's a lot of, I don't know. You tell me. You're a guy who's in wrestling rings, and I know that they all don't feel the same. I haven't been in nearly as many wrestling rings as you have been. sometimes, the ropes, especially if you're a high flyer like Pac who goes to the top rope a lot, who's doing springboards and stuff, those ropes are important. And if they're not exactly the way you want them, it could, ruin your balance or your jump or whatever.
Well, Hangman looked kind of close, so I think he wanted to go for more height, but I guess with the cable, he couldn't get as much height as he wanted. When he did the moonsault to the outside and he landed on him, it was fine when he went off the ropes.
But that was in the turnbuckle in the corner, wasn't it?
Right, yeah.
Not on the springboard, like a little bit further in.
Yeah.
So maybe it's different?
Well, I guess definitely. Well, it wasn't top rope, so yeah, definitely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just looked mad he just hit the ropes. He looked mad at the ropes. That's all I was saying. I didn't know anything. I don't know.
Oh, he's just always mad too.
I was just watching the match, and he did a thing off the ropes, and then it didn't look so good, and then he hit the ropes and kind of said something. And I was like, oh, what is he, mad at the ropes?
He's just mad in general, just a mad guy.
I like him. He's like a mean guy. Bastard Pac, as he's calling himself. It's fantastic.
Shivani really pushed that like crazy, calling him a bastard all the time.
Yeah. So, great moments. Great moments on AEW's first TV show. I thought Riho and Nyla Rose had a killer match.
Well, that crazy bump that Rose took to the outside when she did that senton on all those chairs. I don't understand why you used all the chairs because you would have got disqualified, but she set that up anyways.
Well, would you get disqualified? I think you get disqualified if you hit somebody with a chair, but if you put a chair on the ground and then they happen to fall on that chair, it's not your fault.
Even if you set it up and put them on it, and then go to flip, come on. How is that not a DQ? That should have been a DQ if she hit that move successfully.
Well, Dean Ambrose attacked Kenny Omega in his match, and the match went on, and there was no disqualification. So I think it takes a lot to get disqualified in AEW. I'm not really sure what it takes. I was a little confused on those rules. Now, the next time they have a disqualification, people are going to be like, really? Really? You're getting disqualified for this? John Moxley can come in and completely take out Kenny Omega, put him through a glass table. I don't know how they disqualify anybody now, right? At this point, they've gone so far into showing, you could pretty much get away with anything. How do you disqualify people?
I got to wonder, maybe because it was a 6-person tag, maybe because it was under, Lucha Libre rules. Maybe there's no DQ with that. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out as much as you are.
I don't know. It wasn't explained on the broadcast either.
Oh, I don't think they had any idea what was going on.
I think JR's watching this. He's like, good God almighty, why is there no disqualification?
Well, I thought the match was over when that first happened, when Moxley showed up.
Me too.
But nope.
It's weird.
Also, what was weird was that Jay and Silent Bob segment that they had. I don't know what the heck they were trying with that, but that did not work, whatever they were trying.
It did not work at all. It was very strange. So, Angelico and Jack Evans are ringside out of nowhere, right? They were just there. No entrance, no nothing. It's what are these guys doing here? Do they have a match? Why are they here, right? So they're ringside. They're a tag team in AEW. And then Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes, who play Jay and Silent Bob in those movies, they're ringside as guests of Chris Jericho because Jericho's in their new movie that they're promoting. That's why they're there.
Pretty cool.
And so Angelico and Jack Evans challenge them to a match for some reason. And you think, are they going to wrestle? What is this? And then Private Party shows up. They're another tag team. And they kind of calm everybody down. They don't have microphones. They don't say anything. They just kind of hey, that's enough. Settle down, settle down. And then they leave.
Right.
Private Party doesn't stay with Jay and Silent Bob. They just leave. So they come down for a minute, and then they leave. And then Angelico and Jack Evans seem to still be ringside. So, Private Party came to, save Jay and Silent Bob from an attack or whatever. They seem like they got the job done, but then they leave, and Angelico and Jack Evans are still there. And then you cut to an SCU video package. And it's what? What was that? It was bizarre. I mean, not to mention, I think a lot of people that are maybe in their 20s have no idea who Jay and Silent Bob are. I think at this point it's kind of a dated reference.
Really? That's sad.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
You're an old man, John. Give it up. You're almost 40.
Clerks is amazing.
Yeah, but, it was amazing when we were in high school in, the year 2000, John. We're old now. It's not, Jay and Silent Bob have not been cool in many years. You know who produced all those movies? Harvey Weinstein, It was a different world back then.
Yeah, it's sad. Wow.
Right? So... I don't know AEW about Jay and Silent Bob. Like for me, I know exactly who they are because I'm of a certain age, and I'm the same age as Cody and Kenny and the Bucks.
Right.
But I'm older than MJF, and I don't know if MJF knows who those guys are. Right?
Well, with Netflix, I think a lot of people know a lot of things about movies, but
Maybe.
it's sad.
Clerks is a very like 90s type of feel. If you didn't grow up in the 90s, I don't know if you're into it or you get it. I don't know, man. I knew who they were, and I thought it was cool that they were there, but I could also see how people would be like, who are these old guys?
Well, I get why AEW did that, though. They had some celebrities. Let's use them. People on TNT probably knew who they were, so let's try to get some publicity.
They really should have done something with Jay and Joey Janela, like, some sort of father angle.
We didn't see Joey Janela at all in this episode.
Yeah, but don't you think like Jay from Jay and Silent Bob would make a lot of sense as Joey Janela's gimmick father?
Hopefully they did some segments backstage and they can pull that off.
Those
perhaps.
two characters seem very, they seem like they'd be a great, like Jason Mewes would make a great manager for Joey Janela.
100%.
Or for Matt Riddle.
Hopefully we'll see them again in a better use, because this was just a terrible use. It was just like, well, they're there. Let's just throw our guys out there and let's see what happens.
I don't think we need to see Jay and Silent Bob again. I think I'm good on that. I'm good with that. So strange stuff, but a lot of really good stuff. Riho beating Nyla Rose to become the first ever AEW Women's Champion. Thought the match was great. Not sure why Michael Nakazawa was ringside, but Nyla attacked him. And then Nyla was going to attack Riho, but then Kenny Omega made the save and told Nyla not to do that. I think we might be building towards a Nyla Rose Kenny Omega match down the road, which would be a lot of fun. I think we're going to do stuff like that. And I like that Riho and Kenny Omega have this alliance as well. It adds another element to Kenny Omega's character and where they can go with him. He's got stuff with the Bucks. He's got stuff with Jericho. He's got stuff with Jon Moxley, and now he's got to deal with Nyla Rose and Riho.
Well, this is another case where the Elite get their way. Riho, pretty much Kenny Omega's handpicked women's wrestler, won the women's championship.
Johnny North, she has 15 years experience in the wrestling business, and she's 23 years of age.
It's crazy.
She started when she was 8. She's really good, too.
She's good.
My eyes were open. They've thrown a lot of Japanese wrestlers at us, and it's been hard to tell who's who. But now when Riho's finally featured one-on-one in a match with Nyla Rose, you get to focus on Riho. You get to pay attention to Riho. It's not like 6 people in a match, and you don't know who to watch because they're all doing one thing or another. I watched Riho. I saw what she could do one-on-one, and I was super impressed. Look forward to seeing more from her.
I have a hard time believing her as a champion because, wow, she's small.
See, I thought she worked great, and I didn't have any time struggling to believe that she could beat Nyla Rose. As big as Nyla Rose was, I believed when Riho beat her. When she hit those double knees right to the face, 1, 2, 3, I bought that finish.
Well, I bought it after the crazy bump that Nyla Rose took to the outside. That weakened her to the point where, yes, Riho or anyone could have actually beaten her. But you needed that bump, though. You needed that crazy bump from Nyla Rose, though.
I thought the match was fantastic. Congratulations to Riho, the first ever AEW Women's Champion. We got to talk about the WWE Monday Night Raw, Bobby Lashley and Lana, that whole debacle. We're going to get to that. Short pause here for the radio side. It is Wrestling Uncensored. Hell in a Cell coming up this weekend. We'll get to that as well. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. It is Wrestling Uncensored. I'm Dave Simon. He's Johnny North. RingsideReport.net is the website. Go there. Watch our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. All the info is on our website. Very easy to navigate website, ringsidereport.net. You can watch all the shows there, Ringside Report, MMA. You want a UFC 243 preview? We got that for you. Some MMA talk, some pro wrestling, Dave and Johnny Live. If you want to watch the Smackdown show, the brand new Smackdown show, Smackin It, as you can tell, a lot of AEW to talk about, right? The first episode of AEW has taken the majority of this episode of Wrestling Uncensored. Has Wrestling Uncensored become the AEW show? It feels like it, right? So we're going to cover some WWE here in a minute because there is some WWE to get to. mostly Raw and a little bit of Hell in a Cell. If you want to know more about Hell in a Cell and what happened on SmackDown, watch the brand new show exclusive to the YouTube channel, Smackin' It with Dave. That's me.
Sounds good. Definitely something I'll watch.
People will be getting smacked on the show. How about that? Maybe even me.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. How many smacks out of 10 will you give SmackDown? Watch Smackin' It on the YouTube channel, The SmackDown Show. Brand new from the Ringside Report Network. So, Johnny North. Rusev.
We're starting with Rusev, not Hogan?
No, I don't want to start with Hogan. I want to start with the real juicy stuff, the nonsense.
Nonsense, not juicy.
Rusev Pudria, Rusev Machka. So, first of all, WWE bait and switched us. We have to start with Brock Lesnar because everything starts with Brock, right?
Which is great.
It was supposed to be Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio. We didn't get that match for the Universal title. Rey didn't get to become Universal Champion. He didn't even get to wrestle the champion. No match, because Brock Lesnar shows up, attacks Rey Mysterio, and then attacks Rey's son, Dominic.
Fantastic. Great beating. One of the best Brock Lesnar attacks in a long time, in my opinion.
Really?
Well, the way he just threw Dominic, and Dominic just bounced and then slid out of the ring, that looked great. It looked real.
Yeah. It looked rough on Dominic. The German suplex.
Which was great. And then it looked like he was going to throw him to F5, but no, it was just like a press into the post. Fantastic.
Yeah, Dominic took a pretty good beating from Brock Lesnar. Dominic is, 19? And learning to become a professional wrestler. They've already built this where, Rey Mysterio's talked about how he wants Dominic to be his tag team partner, and he knows Dominic's training to be a wrestler, so Rey wants to hold off retirement until Dominic is ready and they can tag team together a little bit before Rey calls it a career. Nice. So we know that Dominic is already training to wrestle, so when you see him getting tossed around by Brock Lesnar, for me, it's not that shocking. It's not like Brock's just attacking a guy who's a member of Rey's family. Brock's attacking a guy who's learning to take bumps and be a pro wrestler, and he gets to have the privilege of getting bumped around by one of the greatest ever in Brock Lesnar.
Who's very careless.
Yeah, but it's more of an honor. I mean, you're 19, You're training to be a wrestler. You can take a few Brock bumps.
You got to survive those Brock bumps.
Brock's not going to kill you by tossing you across the ring with a suplex. It might hurt. You'll feel it in the morning, but he's not going to break your neck.
When he bounced and slid out of the ring, I was a little scared for him, actually.
Has Brock put anybody out of commission? He's wrestled stiff, tossed everybody around the ring. Seth, Roman, Braun Strowman, tossed them all around the ring. Nobody's been taken out by Brock. He had a match with Daniel Bryan. He tossed Daniel Bryan around the ring. Daniel Bryan lived to tell about it. No problem.
Thankfully.
Took no time off. Brock has not really injured anybody. As stiff and rough as Brock's matches look, guys seem to survive.
Well,
I'm not worried about the safety of Dominic, is all I'm saying.
It shows you how good Brock is. He can make it look legit, and people are not hurt. That's a good worker.
Flat on your back, for the most part.
Well, definitely not flat on the back, but I guess they didn't complain. That's the thing.
Whatever, they're taking it. So Brock Lesnar takes out Dominic, takes out Rey Mysterio. Rey tried to defend his son, but got hit with another F5. Rey was wearing the nice new Yeezys, which was really distracting for me. I was trying to pay attention to the wrestling, but I was just watching Rey's shoes.
Didn't go flying out. But Rey went flying out of the ring, so I guess they went flying out of the ring.
Yeah, really nice shoes that Rey was wearing. I've seen Rey a lot in Yeezys, so I always appreciate guys with their nice footwear in the WWE. And then Brock hit like a vertical suplex on Dominic for some reason, which was weird.
Well, Dominic's kind of a hefty kid. It's not easy just German suplex him, especially if he's not ready for it. So I think that's why he just went with the suplex. It's just easier just to toss him.
So Rey Mysterio didn't get to wrestle Seth Rollins. Instead, Rusev wrestles Seth Rollins.
Weird.
Because there was a whole brawl thing, and Rusev helped Seth, and then he asked for a match, right? So Rusev and Seth Rollins have a match for the Universal title, and that's your main event of Raw?
It was weird.
That's how you close premiere week of Monday Night Raw? I know SmackDown is the main show this week, but man, Seth and Rusev for the Universal title? That is not a good main event, and it gets worse.
Rusev almost won. He had Seth beat.
Did he?
Yeah.
So
Until the distraction, like Rusev was about to win the match.
Just like Braun Strowman the week before until Bray Wyatt showed up, right?
Exactly.
Seth looking pretty weak going into this pay-per-view.
Very weak going into this pay-per-view. Makes it seem like maybe he's going to lose this Sunday in Hell in a Cell.
I doubt it.
But the doubt's there.
It is The Fiend versus Seth Rollins. We're all expecting The Fiend to show up and interfere in this match. Instead, it's Bobby Lashley.
Because a limo showed up, and I guess it was Bobby Lashley.
Oh, so it was Lashley in the limo. Okay, right. Who cares? Who cares what kind of mode of transportation Bobby Lashley's showing up in, right? So the big surprise at the end of Raw is Bobby Lashley.
With a guest.
Of course, Rusev's real-life wife, Lana. And they start making out on the stage for a while, pretty hard, with Rusev watching.
With the leg, too, up and everything. That was kind of nuts.
Bobby's like grabbing her leg and just, he's got his hands all over Lana. Their mouths are wide open. They are going at it on Monday Night Raw. And this is how the WWE chooses to close the show. I don't understand why the WWE is so obsessed with, like, you know, the wife of a wrestler is with other wrestlers gimmick. They've got two of them currently running. Maria Kanellis is fully pregnant. Every week she's like, this wrestler's my baby's father, or this wrestler's my baby's father. Not you, Mike Kanellis. You suck at wrestling, so you could never impregnate me. It's like, what? It's bizarre. And now Lana is in some sort of relationship with Bobby Lashley. Lana, who is Rusev's real-life wife, in a relationship with Bobby Lashley. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, it's just pretend and it's fine and, you know, it's just pro wrestling and actors do love scenes in movies all the time, and that's true. But their husband doesn't have to be like 20 feet away watching the thing. You know, and they're getting paid a lot more to do it, usually. And I don't know, man. I felt bad for Rusev. He looked uncomfortable. It's not the first time that they've done this with Lana. They had a thing with Dolph Ziggler where Lana was making out with Dolph Ziggler on TV right in front of Rusev.
But that died suddenly.
Well, yeah, because it was revealed that Lana and Rusev got engaged. So and it was on TMZ and stuff. So the WWE is like, well, we can't do this Lana and Rusev, Dolph Ziggler, Summer Rae love square. So we gotta just go back to Lana and Rusev as a team because everybody knows it's nonsense. Everybody still knows it's nonsense, but hey, they're going there anyways, and they're doing some weird deal where Lana's upset with Rusev or has left Rusev and is now with Bobby Lashley, I guess.
Well, because Maria said that Rusev was the father, right? So
yeah, but just before Lana came out with Lashley, Maria said, of course Rusev's not the father. It's just something I said. And like anybody who's been following this knows that Maria has said like 3 or 4 guys already have been the father of her baby, and it's never true. At the end, she's always like, oh, no, it's not true. It's just something I said. And you're like, all right, well, you know, it's like the boy who cried wolf. Eventually, like, I don't care what Maria says anymore, because it doesn't really lead to anything. Ricochet's the father. Then Ricochet beats Mike Kanellis, and she's like, Ricochet's not the father. Rusev's the father. And then Ricochet beats Mike Kanellis. Yeah, Rusev's not the father. It's like, all right, well, I don't care anymore about this. Like, I know Mike Kanellis is really the father. I know Rusev and Lana are really married. I mean, at least Maria doesn't have to make out with some other dudes on TV while she's pregnant with Mike's baby. At least they're spared of that, you know? Poor Rusev has to watch Lana making out with guys. Maybe he's into that. I don't know. Maybe he likes it. Some people like that. But I don't like it as a viewer. I'm not really into watching Bobby Lashley and Lana make out to close an episode of Monday Night Raw. It's not something that is going to keep me tuning in every single week. I don't buy tickets to see Lashley making out with Lana on TV. Right? Or in the arena or whatever. I'm not here for that. And I'm also not here for the lights to go out. And then, nothing worse goes on with Lana and Lashley. The lights go out and The Fiend shows up, of course, to put the mandible claw on Seth Rollins. So you have like a near porno on one side of the stage, and then the lights go out, and the next scene is a horror movie with this weirdo guy in a clown mask attacking the Universal Champion Seth Rollins. That was the end of Monday Night Raw. Come on, man.
Well, it's better than Lashley just coming out and doing absolutely nothing, just staring at Rusev. It's better that happened because it's like, well, why is this happening? I want to find out next week. I want them to explain what the heck's going on. Also, I want to watch Hell in a Cell to find out if The Fiend is going to beat Seth Rollins, which I feel like he is going to. So actually, he did a good job selling next week and the pay-per-view.
So you like the whole Lashley-Lana thing? You're into that?
Well, I thought it was kind of weird because it's like we see that and then The Fiend shows up and it's like, I don't know how to feel. Like, what the hell was that exactly?
Yeah.
But I want to find out what's going to happen next, though, at least. I'm not completely turned off by it. I'm just like, I feel weird.
I'm soured.
Yeah, sour is a good word for it, yeah.
I'm soured on the whole experience. Like, that's how you finish Monday Night Raw? Really? That's what you give me? That's your big finish? Oh, boy. Not too good. Not too good. Seth versus The Fiend, Universal Championship inside Hell in a Cell.
That's your main event, more than likely.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Seth retaining. Although, honestly, it could be a flip of the coin for me. Like, I almost said The Fiend getting the championship. I could see it go down either way, but I think Seth is going to retain. I don't think he's going to beat The Fiend clean. I think something weird's going to happen.
Something weird's going to happen, but I think The Fiend's going to win.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I think maybe Undertaker will show up and cost The Fiend the match. Somebody will show up to attack The Fiend and start The Fiend's next program, and then Seth will wind up winning because of it. That's what I think. Somebody will come back, attack The Fiend, get some sort of revenge or start some sort of program with him, and then Seth will benefit and retain his title with some help. Hell in a Cell, there's no rules. Anything can happen.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right?
But I like The Fiend winning this because, he only wrestled one match. I think you give him the title.
Do you give Sasha Banks the Raw Women's Championship, Sasha versus Becky inside Hell in a Cell?
I sure hope so. If Sasha's ever going to win, she has to win now, right? Like, if she doesn't win this one, I think it's over.
So you're expecting double title changes?
Well, it's fine. I mean, we haven't seen any title changes yet, so why not? There wasn't really any big title changes at the last pay-per-view. Seth retained. Becky didn't win, but she retained.
It'll be the last Raw with the current roster because next week on Raw, not this Monday the 7th, but the 14th, when Raw is in Denver, Colorado, it'll be part 2 of the WWE Draft. The draft will start on the 11th, SmackDown on a Friday night in Vegas, and then the following Monday is when it'll wrap up. So maybe you do want to have some new champions as you kind of reset the rosters and go forward with a new set of rosters on each brand, right?
Also, Crown Jewel, Seth Rollins will be in a tag team match, so he won't be defending the championship.
Yes, that was the other big deal that happened this week. Crown Jewel will take place on a Thursday, October the 31st on Halloween in Saudi Arabia, which makes you wonder, if Crown Jewel's on a Thursday, how many SmackDown superstars will be on that show, considering SmackDown's on a Friday in Buffalo, New York.
It's going to be rough, I think. I think you're going to see a lot of female superstars on the SmackDown.
Right, because the women can't wrestle in Saudi Arabia because of the strange rules in that weird country. So, The Miz hosts Miz TV with Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan as a special guest, and Flair gets mad. Flair's like, I'm over it. I'm tired of hearing your music. I've been hearing that Hulk Hogan music for 30 years. He says, Hogan and Austin and Taker, you guys were all top draws in the business, but in the ring, Ric Flair was the best. And then Flair really gets in Hogan's face.
It's good.
And then Miz announces that on October 31st at Crown Jewel, there will be a special 5-on-5 match, Team Ric Flair versus Team Hulk Hogan.
You skipped the best part.
What happened?
When Hogan's like, it sounds like to me, Flair, is like, you want to do this one more time. And then Flair whips the jacket off, which got the biggest reaction of the whole night.
Yeah, but then Flair was just joking around.
Well, then he bounced off the ropes, and then Hogan did the point.
Yeah.
And then, nothing happened, and they just smirked and laughed.
You like that part?
I love that part because when he took the jacket off, the crowd went crazy.
The crowd was really into that Hogan-Flair thing. Probably the hottest angle on the night, right? I think
without question.
That was the thing that most people were into. Two of the greatest icons in the history of the business. Too bad they can't wrestle anymore. Kind of says a lot about the current state of WWE, too, when the biggest pop of the night goes to Hogan and Flair still. They don't have anything else. I mean, they have Lashley and Lana's love show, but, nothing better than that. So, Miz announces this Team Hogan, Team Flair 5-on-5 match. Seth Rollins is revealed as the captain of Team Hogan. Randy Orton shows up. He's the captain of Team Flair. And then Randy tells Seth to crawl out of Hogan's behind so that he can hear him properly.
Great line.
Good line there from Randy. Randy's really off the chain these days. He does not care. He's like, what are you going to do, Vince? Fire me? Go to AEW and bury you, right? So Randy seems really, I like this version of Randy. This is my favorite Randy. Doesn't care, Randy. Big star. Does what he wants. Randy wants a match tonight. Seth Rollins accepts it for some reason. But then it didn't go anywhere.
And the match never really happened.
Yeah.
Because Baron Corbin came out.
King Corbin. All right.
King Corbin
Right. Shows up. He attacks Seth Rollins with Randy. And then Rusev shows up to make the save for Seth. So I guess Rusev and Seth are officially on Team Hogan. They'll have 3 more partners. And King Corbin and Randy are on Team Ric Flair. So I guess Hogan is the babyface and Flair is the heel in this Saudi Arabia crown jewel team match that I really couldn't care less about.
I'm guessing Bobby Lashley's probably on Team Flair.
Well, yeah, he doesn't like Rusev. Will Rusev and Lashley wrestle at Hell in a Cell?
It would make sense,
It
no?
would make a lot of sense. I don't know.
You have to wait to find out Sunday.
Yeah, find out at Hell in a Cell. And, of course, we'll be on after Hell in a Cell for the Hell in a Cell post-show. You can watch us recap the entire event. I'll be here. Will you be here, Big Johnny?
Tune in and find out.
Oh, okay. That's a real cliffhanger here on Wrestling Uncensored. Definitely watch us for Smackin It. Well, you can watch me. I know John won't be here for Smackin It, but I will be here right after SmackDown for Smackin It, the brand new SmackDown show. We will recap everything that happened on SmackDown. Brock Lesnar, Kofi Kingston for the title. The Rock making an appearance. Watch Smackin It to hear all our thoughts on WWE Smackdown. Watch the Hell in a Cell post show on the YouTube channel. Everything available on YouTube at youtube.com/ringsidereport.net, youtube.com/ringsidereport, DOTNET. More info for that on our website at ringsidereport.net. And you can follow Johnny North on Twitter at North Genesis, Instagram at Genesis Johnny North. Follow me at Dave Simon MMA. Big Johnny, before we go, when is your next match? When can people see you in the ring?
Well, October 26th, I'm wrestling a strap match against True Onyx, and now it's going to be for the vacant British Commonwealth Championship. So I'm getting my rematch for the championship a lot earlier than expected, which is fantastic because I should be champion. I should have never lost the championship. And now October 26th in Anjou, 9001 Parkway Boulevard, I'll become champion. Bell time is 7:30.
There you go. Big Johnny bringing the belt back home to the Wrestling Uncensored universe. For Johnny North, I am Dave Simon. Thank you for listening, and thank you for watching. This has been Wrestling Uncensored. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.